Hey guys, George of SoundTraxx here. This week I want to talk about a feature that has been built in Tsunami2 since the beginning, but apparently has a little bit of mystery surrounding it, and that's known as switching mode, function 14. So let's get started and we'll show you all the cool things that switching mode can do for you. Now, switching mode is actually a mode that derives primarily from European models called shunting mode. And shunting and switching is for moving cars around or spotting cars at industries. And what switching mode does with the Tsunami2 is it will actually take your commanded speed step and cut it into 1/2. So if you're moving along at speed step 10, when you hit switching mode, your locomotive now will travel the equivalent of speed step 5. The other part of this, and another feature of switching mode, is it also bypasses the momentum. And what this does is this will give you instant starts and stops. So when you're running your track down, or if you're trying to spot your cars at industry, you can go into switching mode and get that instant start and stop to make sure that those doors line up with the industry doors properly. Now, this is two features that are both assigned to function 14. So if you want to still enable the momentum, but just cut the commanded speed step into 1/2, you can do that. So let's first talk about the switching mode and let's see it in action. So on this locomotive, I have a little bit of momentum built into the decoder, and just to make sure, we're going to go ahead and set CV3 to a value of 150 and CV4 to also a value of 150, so that you get a little bit of delay or momentum simulating in your locomotive stops. So now we're going to move our locomotive forward at speed step 10, and you can see how slow that locomotive takes to get started. And then same thing when I cut it to a stop, you can see that it actually takes a little bit to come to a stop. Now when I enable switching mode, I'm going to turn on function 14 on my throttle. Now when I go to speed step 10, you'll see that it jumps immediately to the equivalent of speed step 5, but then when I cut the throttle to 0, you see that I get that instant start and stop. Now, as I mentioned, you can also disable the momentum part of it, so if you still want to use the momentum and braking, just moving at a slower speed, you can do that. And here's one of the good reasons why. With switching mode enabled right now, I can move at speed step 1. Which means this locomotive is actually moving at the equivalent of speed step 1/2. And that's 1/2 of one speed step of 128 speed step mode. So as you can see, the locomotive is just barely creeping along the track, where you can actually count seconds between ties. And again, when I disable the switching mode, I'm going to turn function 14 off now, you'll notice that the locomotive now actually starts accelerating a little bit faster, as it's actually running now at speed step 1. And then now when I increase the throttle to speed step 10, you see now that the momentum is back, and I haven't done any CV programming in this case. So for more information, please visit our website at SoundTraxx.com. Be sure to check out that Steam and Diesel User's Guide to get the detailed information on how to set up switching mode for your needs.